Om Bhadram Karnebi Shrunuyama Deva Bhadram Pashe Makshabhir Yajatra Thirairangai Stushtavanshas Tanubi Vashema Deva Hitam Yadayuhu Sastina Indro Vruddashrava Sastina Pusha Vishwaveda Sastina Starksho Varishtanemi Sastino Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Last time we studied the 7th mantra and its commentary from the Agam Prakaran of the Mandukya Upaniṣad of the Atharvaveda or Govt Karikas on Mandukya. Comprehensively, let us once remember what we have studied. Manas, ईश्वर कमेंट्री पूरी कर ली थी, तुम नहीं थे? बताओ जरा. So, let us, a few words are remaining perhaps, no?
This part is
Last part. We had left a few lines of the commentary, but let us take it in the comprehension now. Comprehensive. So the 6 mantras and the karikas thereupon have told us that when we try to experience the truth stated in the first 2 mantras, that the world is not real, there is a reality at the back, that very reality appears as the world, and this very ātman is that Brahman. When we try to experience this ātman, which is Brahman, it comes to us in 4 steps. And the first step is described as loss of individuality into cosmic gross consciousness. And further sadhana, further attempt at experiencing the truth takes us to second step, cosmic subtle world, cosmic subtle consciousness. And still, the third step, which comes after trying to experience the truth, takes us to loss of the variety of the subtle world. No more dreams, no more desires function, no more projections. And there, the only problem is that if we do not go further, we will have to revert to the subtle and gross state. And we are enjoying the anandam, bliss, which is reflected from our real nature on the mind which is inactive. When I say inactive, please do not understand any darkness or tamoguna. Absence of restlessness of the mind. When the mind is not at all moving, and on that the bliss of the self is reflected, and I consciousness is enjoying that bliss. And we were also told that this is in its real nature, this is the ruler of all, this is the all-knower, all-powerful, the source of all, the cause of projection and destruction of all. So when we reach this state, we are clearly aware that we were present in all the 3 states, and yet we cannot be involved in any of these states. We are free from all these states and yet involved in all the three states. And so the fourth step comes. And that fourth step was described in the seventh mantra. Let us read it once more. Na antapragyam, na bahishpragyam, na ubhayatapragyam, na pragyanaganam, na pragyam, na apragyam, adrishtam, avyavaharyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam, avyapadeshyam. Ekatma pratyasaram, prapanchopashamam, shantam, shivam, advaitam, chaturtham manyante sa atma sa viggeya. So, the I consciousness present in the dream state is not its real nature. The dream state is not its real nature. Neither is the waking state its real nature, or we as present in the waking state is not our real nature. And there is an intermediate state where sometimes during dream we are waking. So such intermediate state is also not its real nature, or the I consciousness present in this intermediate state is not our real nature. And the congealed consciousness, which is in the third state, is not our real nature. Neither we of the congealed state is our real nature. And that state is also described as all-knowing, because we have known everything gross and subtle. And there, so this all-knowingness is also not our real nature, because there also subject-object split is there, we are knowing all. So neither that all-knowing state is our real nature, nor we of the all-knowing state is our real nature. And in another side, that is the absence of knowledge of the reality, nothing else is there but absence of the knowledge of reality. So that is also not our real state. Neither we of that state are our real nature. So the subject and the state of the subject has been denied from every side. And Shankaracharya has shown to us that this leads to a realization. We have seen the three states. We have been in the three states. So we are none of them. If we can remove, throw out the consciousness of the three states, or we, the conceivers of the three states, if we can throw out, automatically our real nature will shine. So Shankaracharya has used the word pratisheda vigyan. That is the most important word. There is no other way. It is not a fourth state. We do not say that other than these three states, there is a fourth state. No. There is no state. And because there is no state, the denial of these three states produces our real nature. Example I gave, routine example, that tender coconut, we cannot take out the kernel. The wet coconut, we cannot take out the kernel. The dry coconut, we cannot take out the kernel, but that is the state where we can break and take out the kernel. So that is the fourth. The realization of the fourth is just to take out the kernel. No more state. The coconut can have only 3 states: the tender, the wet, and the dry. Beyond that, there is no state. But when it has experienced all the 3 states, in that dry state, just one hit, and the shell is broken, and the kernel comes out. So, the denial of the 3 states is the only way of realizing our own real nature. On the other hand, Shankara has also shown that if there was no world of experience, whether gross or subtle or sushupti, then there was no means of realizing God. So, we are the experiencer. And this experiencer experiences the world. If there is no world, then how we can be the experiencer? And what shall we experience? So there will be left no means to realize Brahman. Now, this should not lead us to think that if knower apparent is not Brahman, is Brahman an object of knowledge? Because the bhaktas in their consciousness are taking God as an object of enjoyment or object of knowledge. So he says, the 7th mantra, it is not seen. That means it is not the object of any organ of perception. And so, we cannot come under any relation with him. It is beyond all relational states because it is not an object. So, avyavaharyam. And it cannot be an object of any karmendriyas. We cannot catch it by hand. We cannot walk and go there. We cannot talk about it. So, agrayam. And it has no sign outward. Alakshanam. And if it has no sign outward, then how can we think of it? All our thinking is from the sciences, you see. So, achintyam. And we cannot see grossly, we cannot think, then how can we describe? So it is beyond all description. So, totality, the consciousness is that it is not an object of vyapadesham. Then, some means through which we can realize. Ekatma pratyaya saram. We can think of it in 3 ways. Ek atma pratyaya saram. That means I consciousness was present in waking, in dream, in sleep. And let us pursue through that, take up the essence of that. Is indication. We can reach it. Or ekatma pratyaya saram. That waking, dream, sleep, childhood, young age, old age, same we are. Ekatma. So if we dive deep enough into that, we'll reach it. That is how Shankara has explained. And Ganeshwara has explained in the 3rd way. Ekatma, any man with the evolved consciousness, feels that the subject and object are identical. It is the same reality which appears in subject and object. That is ekatma. An example I have seen in the Ellora cave, the central cave is called Kailash cave. There, the worshipper, the worshipped, and worshipper, worship going on, all are carved from the same rock. And if that rock is conscious, it will immediately flash that these three were only one. That is ekatma. Then prapanchopashama. That is Bhagavan Buddha's realization that the manifold is not there. Whatever may be its real nature, it is real nature. In that real nature, manifoldness is absent. Shantam. Its real nature is such that nothing of the world can provoke it to lose its balance. We saw this personified in Holy Mother. Shivam, in the world, gross, subtle, or anywhere, the good or the auspicious, the bad or the inauspicious, they are always relative terms, always. If we can conceive of absolutely good, absolutely auspicious, and the rishis will tell us, when you are saying absolute, you need not think good or auspicious, it is absolute. That is Shivam. And that is the Shiva as a person is our reading in the gross world. Shivam word appears in the seventh mantra of the Mandukya. And the person who specially realizes this aspect, we know, is Swami Shivananda or Mahapurush Maharaj. And did we exemplify it by that Sadhva Bhalo Vidhva Bhalo last time? That he says that widows, fine, very good. And those with their husband are very good, very good. He explains it by telling that Vidvas keep up the religion and Sadhvas bring the Mahapurushas into this world. So there is a realization in which there is nothing inauspicious in this world, nothing bad in this world. Let me tell you a little. I'm going to come to that, but now itself, when my Guruji used to read to Mahapurush Maharaj, and he used to explain this, and then the transformation in his personality, I will describe it to you. Out of sentiment or out of real, he used to, in place of Shivam, he used to say Shivanandam. And then Advaitam. And the only meaning of Advaitam, please remember that there is no subject-object split in the reality. And this is what Shankaracharya has been preaching, Advaitam. Then, Chaturtha Manyante. It is not 1, 2, 3, 4 states, but it has to be called forth because it is beyond the 3. Because it is beyond the 3, it is called forth. The common word which you have heard is Turiyam. Turiyam and Chaturtham, same meaning, literal. So it is Chaturtha Manyante. Sa ātman. Little grammatically strange. Atman is our own real nature. And we are telling that Atman. That means, so long as we have not realized, it is not we. It is something to be realized. Savigya, to be realized. This was the seventh mantra. And we saw Shankar has critically explained every word of it. And lastly, one important point was how only denial will lead to realization. Shankara has said, because it is already unreal, so by denial it will go away. In the end, that we go back to the mantra, Chaturtham Turiyam Mandante. Pratiyamana Padatraya Rupa Vailakshana. Okay? You want 2 lines before that, the para? Para is na antapragyato adi sthani dharma pratishada kruta. Okay? Prapanchopashamamiti jagradadi sthana dharma bhava uchyate. Okay? So, by antapragyato, etc., we had denied the characteristics of that state, sthani dharma, of the person in that state. And by prapancha upashamam, the variety experienced in the waking or dream state is being denied. Okay? Atayeva, now everything is brought from that. Therefore, Shantam Avikriyam. Therefore, it is peaceful, that means not subject to any disturbance. Not subject to any modification or change. That is Shantam. Shivam, Yato Advaitam. He connects Shivam with the next word. Because there is no subject-object split, so it is the most auspicious. Veda Vikalpa Rahitam. Because the modifications or alternates are absent. So when there is alternate modification, then any impurity or badness can come. It is not there, so it is absolute. Chaturtham Turiyam Mandante. That is called or thought of as fourth. Pratiyamana Padatraya Rupa Vailakshana. The 3 states which are apparent, its characteristics is different from all these 3 states. So it is called fourth. Vailakshana. Not that it is different from these 3 states, but the characteristics of all the 3 states are not there. So it is called fourth. Sa ātman, sa vigya iti pratyamana sarpa bhuchidra dandadi vyatirikta yatha rajju tatha tattvamasi ityadi vakya artha atma adrashta drashta nahi drashtur drashtur viparilapo vidyate ityadi virukto ya. A rope is there. It may appear like a snake. It may appear like a crack in the earth. Bhuchidra. Dandadi. It may appear like a stick lying there. It is different from these threads, Rajju. So, that is because it is different from these 3 things. Tattvamasi ityadi vakyartha ātman, as expressed by that thou art in reality. Adrashta, drashta. It is not seen, but it is the seer. And the power of seeing of the seer is never gone. About that, he had already replied to an objection that in deep sleep it is not there. He said the deep sleep, the power of seeing is very much there. There is no object to see, that's all. Now the last word, saviggeya. Is it different from us that we have to know it? Iti bhuta purva gatya. Because we were not knowing it. So ignorance or ajnan has to be accepted. That in waking or dream or deep sleep, we were not knowing it. In comparison to that, it is said it has to be known. Because it cannot be known as an object. It will be known only as our real nature. Jnate dvaita abhava. Because when you know, then we cannot say you are known. The knower and known is not there when you know. So before that this was not there, so it is said you have to realize. Okay? Now, I gave a few examples, but still it is an abstract something in our mind. And that is not enough for our realization, not at all. All this leads to some ideas in our mind. And so, in this Kali Yuga, was born a person called Ramakrishna. For 6 months he was in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, it was a different thing. But every now and then, within 5 minutes, he is talking, trying to describe the indescribable. His mind is lifted and he goes beyond subject and object. So, to influence our life, it is absolutely essential that we read and contemplate about this person again and again. And the sources are the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The sources are Sri Ramakrishna, the great master, or it has been recently translated as Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. And in addition to that, there are 3 books by Chetanananji. Compilations, most of them. Ramakrishna as we saw him. So those who have seen are telling of he's talking, he's gone. He's talking and he's gone. There was a place, Fului Shambazar. They're doing singing of God's names. It became well known in and around that village that there is a person during the course of the day, he dies 7 times and is living again 7 times. So when we see him like that, that will only help us for us to reach that. Simply ideas will not do. I want to take a second example. Swami Vivekananda. because he had to do a lot of work in the world, Sri Ramakrishna had told him, you have experience, now you'll keep it in the lock. And yet, in America especially, he is so much engaged in Rajogun, dynamism, restlessness. There I will tell 2-3 examples. Once, he was standing before a mirror because for lecture he had to formally dress. And going away from the mirror, again coming to the mirror. When this happened several times, the Western disciples thought that even the great persons are charmed by their own appearance. He immediately turned to them and said, do you know what is happening? I am Vivekananda, I have to speak. This idea I am unable to keep in the mind. So, in order to remember this idea, I am standing before the mirror. One example. And during these hectic tours, because it was telling upon his nerves, one of his devotees or admirer, Francis Leggett, took him to his, what you call, country home, a big estate, gardens and lakes and buildings. And so in front of a lake, they are all sitting and talking. And Swamiji stops talking. So they feel, let us not disturb him, he is perhaps meditating. And they go away. Their gardener comes running, your guest is dead. He finds no sign of life in Swamiji. So the moment he has got a breathing space, this is what has happened. Swami Vivekananda. Third example, I just now referred to that. Swami Shivananda, Mahapurush. My Guruji, college student, used to go to him and read this seventh mantra. That became a hobby for both. Why? In order to explain, trying to explain that, Mahapuruji would lose himself. I'm telling some frank things. He would stand up. He was explaining sitting, but he would stand up. And totally body consciousness would be gone. And so the cloth will drop out. We keep cloth on our body simply with the help of the force of friction between the body and the cloth. You have never thought about it. Shirt we are hanging from here, but dhoti, and when there is no body consciousness, the cloth would not remain. That is what we have seen in Sri Ramakrishna, Murmu, no cloth. And then my Guruji has said, what you call it, the organ by which we distinguish a man from woman, that organ would reside inside the body. And that part would be plain. And eyes turn upward, chest red. So, both sides, that means he would like to explain because he is experiencing that again. And this person would like to see that. Please remember, frankly I express things. Now, about this very thing, I want to tell two incidents. There was no electricity in Belur Math in those days. So in hot summer, though Mahaprabhuji is bare-bodied, but so much sweating. And one of his sevaks or secretary, Swami Atharvaveda, used to take that big palm leaf fan and fan him. This side, the reading and this thing is going on. So once when my Guruji went there, Atharvaveda was not there. He had gone for some other work. And seeing that huge perspiration, he did not get any inclination to read the book. He kept it and took up the fan. Mahaprabhu, keep down, you take up the book. But unable to do that, he had again taken the fan. Mahaprabhu says, for that another person is there. It is not your work. Still he takes up the fan. Then he says, do you think fanning me is the only way of serving me? Reading this book is not serving me. That is for him. This is for you. Understood? The question arises, what is for Mahaprabhuji? Beyond. By serving such a person, by fanning, will lead that person to spiritual progress. And by reading, it will lead you to spiritual progress. Mahaprabhuji does not require any of them. Now I will tell you something wonderful, which is coming in the next Karika, and Shankar is killing it. Now one day, in such a state I have described, if you have seen Belur Math, if you have seen that old building called Swamiji's room building, if you go from the staircase behind, the left side room is Mahaprabhuji's room. And below that, back of that, there is a small balcony. And Durga Puja was to happen. And Durga Puja will be conducted in that compound in front of Math office. And people are assembled. Everything is ready. But out of tradition or sentiment, the brahmachari who do puja comes to Mahaprabhu at this state. And it touches Mahaprabhuji's feet and says, Maharaj, now there will be Durga Puja. I have come for your permission. Those who understand Bengali, Maharaj, এখন মায়ের পূজা হবে আপনার অনুমতি. Chai also, he was not speaking. And my Guruji says, within a fraction of a second, not a full second, all these characteristics of the Turiya Brahma vanished. And the Ashta Sattvic Vikaras of the Bhakti appeared. That Urdhva Drishti, became parallel. The Premashru, Anandashru, from the side of the eyes started falling. The Vani had stopped. Now the Vani has become Gadgada. That means out of that steam gathered, the words are not coming regularly. Horripilation, kampa in the body, shaking, and all the hair standing on end. Within a fraction of a second, this happened. And saying, twice he said, that was his habit. Mayar Puja, Amaranumati. Mayar Puja, Amaranumati. Mother's worship and you want my permission. And then, Ma. Saying like this, he started going to the balcony. From where he could say, Mother's Puja. And people are assembled there. And he has no cloth on his body. So his two sevakas, Moti Maharaj, I don't remember his sannyas name, and Apuran Swami, Shankar Maharaj. They holding the dhoti and walking in front. And Mahaprabhuji is going there. My Guruji says, one who has seen this, if 1,000 people come to him and try to tell him that there is any contradiction between knowledge and bhakti, will he agree? That is how it is. Understood, please? So unless we see this, visualize this, we'll never come to truth in our realization. And if you read about all Sri Ramakrishna's sannyasi disciples, you'll find the same thing. May not be to this intensity. So this was left. That is why I said we'll take up the seventh mantra. Remember, Sri Ramakrishna, every now and then, to the extent that 7 times a day he dies and 7 times a day he lives. And any trifling thing would send him there. Even when Girish Chandra Ghosh, the drama person, in an inebriated state, used slang words, Sri Ramakrishna went into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Why? Those slang words expressed the dirtiest joy. And for him, joy is only one, the nature of Brahman. Remember, these words expressing joy of the most lowest type of state sent Sri Ramakrishna into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And coming down, he said, Mother, the alphabets of the slang words are the same as the alphabets of the Vedas. And saying so, he again went into the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Once the joys, lowest, send him to the highest. And once the letters, same letters, he went into Samadhi. Unless I visualize again this and this, so please, I mentioned just now 5 books. The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga, either in the old translation, Sri Ramakrishna is the great master, or new translation. And Ramakrishna, as we saw him, they lived with God, God lived with them. There you will find. And in Swami Vivekananda, Swami Shivananda, Swami Brahmananda. Let me tell one incident from Swami Brahmananda. In Omkareshwar, he had gone with Swami Subodhananda. And for 8 days, he was in Nirvikal Samadhi. And Subodhananda would go to collect alms. And the rotis, the bread which he got, used to keep soaked in water. And the moment he saw some external consciousness in Brahman Swami, he used to put that in his mouth. To keep them soft, he used to soak them in water. Keep them soaked in water, because when it will happen, nobody knows. So that is what is Shriram. And his disciples. So, just now I mentioned Gaudpadji. Now he comes back with some more karikas. So we read the 10th karika. Nivrutte. Atra ete shloka bhavanti, as usual. Nivrutte sarva dukkhanam Ishana Prabhuravyaha Advaita Sarva Bhavanam Devaha Turyo Vibhusmrutaha. Now the words denote something and connote something. That means there is a dictionary meaning and there is a bhava inside. There is an attitude inside. And that is what I said Shankara has killed them. Prabhu. You know what the meaning of Prabhu? Master. But Ishana is master. So Prabhu makes that Ishana my Prabhu, my master. And this means Gaudpad knows that at this point we must have devotion. To grasp the 7th mantra, our attitude automatically should become devotional. Let me translate it. Now, somebody has translated in 3 sentences, some in 2. So, subject is Turyo, Devas Turyo. Now, Dev is shining. That again is the literal translation. The word Deva is always used in the devotional sense. Ishvara is ruler. But that very Ishvara is my Prabhu. Dev. Sarva dukkhanam nivrutte. The first sentence is Sarva dukkhanam nivrutte ishana. Ishana means Lord, Master, or capable of, ruler of, removal of all miseries. Is it not generating devotion? We pray to God, resolve and all that to God, please remove our miseries. Sarva dukkhanam, all our miseries will vanish. He is capable of removing all our miseries. The Prabhu, my Lord, is capable of removing all my miseries. Where has this come? The attitude to be generated. Advaita sarva bhavanam advaita. That means world is lying here and he is above somewhere. No. He is the no subject object split of all things in the world. Of whatever positively exists, I, you, he, she, it, and the world, of that, the Advaita is he. And Deva, Suryo is fourth. Vibhu, all pervading. So he reminds us that the absolutely transcendent reality is also all pervading. Visheshena bhavati iti smruta. That is how the men of realization talk about him. Now see Shankar's commentary. Pragya Tejasa Vishwa Lakshananam Sarva Dukkhanam. He says our waking state, dream state and sleep state, they are all miseries. Nivrutte Ishana, the capable or Swami of removing them. Turiya Atma. So he has taken the Turyo as the subject. And Turiya Atma, yes, from the mantra he has brought it. So Turiya Atma is the Sarva Dukkhanam Nivrutte Ishana. Ishana iti asya padasya vyakhyanam prabhuriti. So he says, we have to understand the Ishana, the meaning within Ishana is Prabhu. That much. But if you understand Prabhu is my master. So the Lord is there. He removes all miseries. But he is my master. Dukkha nivrittim prati prabhur bhavati iti artha. So he becomes, my master becomes remover of all my miseries. Now Shankara has given the knowledge of it. Tad vidyana nimittatvad dukkha nivrutte. That means it is not in a dualistic sense that he removes my miseries. Realization of him will put an end to all misery. Okay? So that is all right. Devotion and coupled with knowledge. Avayo naveti swarupat. He does not change his nature. Na vyabhicharati iti. Yavat etat krutaha. Etat krutaha means he is inside spirit. He is removing my misery. That does not mean there is any vikar in him. Unchangingly, he is removing my misery. Yasmat Advaita. Why? Because he is one without a second. Sarva Bhavanam Rajyo Sarbhavat Mrishatvat. Because all things are as unreal as snakes in the rope. Esha Devo, this God, Devata, because he is shining, because he is consciousness. Turiya, Chaturtha, Vibhur Vyapi, Smrita. Turiya is fourth, Vibhu is Vyapak, that is how he is remembered. Okay. With apologies to Shankar, I say he murdered that. But Gaudapada's intention is very clear that this should generate bhakti in us. So he has used those words. Okay. Now, some more karikas to explain clearly the difference between this pradnya and turiya. So we'll take it up next Wednesday. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Deva Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiriyatra Sirairangai Stushtvamsastanuvi Vyashema Deva Hitam Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vruddashrava Swastina Pusha Vishwaveda Swastina Starkyo Varishtanemi Swastino Brahpatir Dadatu Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.